Welcome back everyone to Into the WHONIVERSE, a dedicated podcast series where we discuss all things Doctor Who, and especially when it comes to the minisodes, we're covering all things classic Who. My name's Regan as ever, and I'm joined once again by my beloved co-host. It's Dan.
Hello everybody, back with yet more Doctor Who. I bet people are just sick of us. You know, you'd think we'd talk about anything other, but we're not.
Well, in this instance, if you're wondering, have we just recorded the Edge of Destruction episode immediately after the Daleks one? The answer is yes, of course we have. So, it's been 2 minutes since we wrapped on the previous one, literally, as we're saying it. It's weird.
It's been around 37 seconds.
Something like that, yeah. We're just, dedicated like that. But yes, we are talking about the third serial of Season 1 with The Edge of Destruction. Written by David Whittaker, directed by Richard Martin and Frank Cox, and once again produced by the legendary Verity Lambert. Broadcast in the finest number, 2 parts, not 17, not 42. 2. From the 8th of February to the 15th of February 1964. So this one is a slightly more interesting serial in the legacy of Doctor Who. So the show was picked up for 13 episodes, but nothing more. So this serial could have easily been the end, which I find really fascinating, to be honest. It makes it, I think, alongside the Daleks and An Unearthly Child, is probably the most important episode in Doctor Who, I think, because if this one didn't work, that's it. We're gone. We're not talking about Who for 60 years, because there's no episodes of Who to talk about for 60 years. That being said, I think, for some people, overall thoughts on this one can be quite mixed. I know yours is very, very mixed, actually, compared to mine, because
Oh, is it?
Well, at least compared to mine, because I really like this one. Like, I like it a lot.
Yeah, you really like this one.
And it's weird, because I went into it thinking
In fact,
it's going to be...
you like it more than the previous episode.
I much prefer it to the Daleks, and it's not just because the pacing is nice. It's just a more interesting story for me, even though there's no Daleks in it. But in terms of your general thoughts, because we haven't properly spoken about it, what's your feelings on The Edge of Destruction?
The Snore of Destruction.
Oh, here we go. We didn't mention it with the previous episode, but we've got an unearthly snore, we've got the Snorlax, and now we've got the Snore of Destruction.
Well, it is just the Snore of Destruction. It's so boring.
Wow.
It's Halo
Dan.
Infinite all over again.
It's exactly Halo Infinite. Check out that one if you want.
Look, from the 2 times that I've watched it, actually, potentially 3. Yeah, 3 times I've watched it. I've never liked it.
Okay.
And it comes down to the fact that,
okay.
yes, it's 2 parts, but honestly, I just can't get away with it. I'm just so bored of it, and all it consists of is just some entity that gets into the TARDIS and turns everybody into arseholes, especially the Doctor.
he already was.
Like, the most interesting part to me is when the Doctor literally threatens to kick Barbara and Ian out of the TARDIS, and that causes conflicts. That's the only interesting part of it. Like, it didn't need to be 2 parts. He could have literally just done 1 episode on this thing. It did not need to stretch over 2 parts.
Okay.
But I've never really liked it. I just don't really care for it. I think it's just a filler episode, and yeah, it does do a bit of service, but as you said, if this didn't work, then there'd be no more Doctor Who, so it does work for some people, it just doesn't for me. I just skip past it, in honesty, because there's nothing that really contributes toward it, other than the fact that I think in the next episode, Barbara's in a bit of a huff, and rightfully so.
Naturally. Well, I mean, that's the thing, because I think for me, this one aims to kind of delve into the actual characters a little bit more. It's interesting how they do it through the guise of them having amnesia for some reason. So they kind of forget who each other are, and they immediately don't actually trust each other. It's a very human thing, frankly. And I do find that quite interesting. And we've also got an entire story set on the TARDIS. So you get to see a little bit more of the set. And I mean a little bit more, it's the BBC budget in 1964. It's not going to be particularly big.
Yeah, I think it just it's the tip of the iceberg for the TARDIS layout and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, you see a couple of other rooms, but then again, as you say, it's budget, isn't it?
Well, exactly. And as I say, this one definitely is more of a character piece, I think, despite the looming threat. I mean, we're going to talk about the threat itself. So something's going wrong with the TARDIS, and it's going to be sent to the very beginning of time, so everyone is going to die. I love that as like a setup. It's just so... It's like proper Doctor Who sci-fi. I really like that. It's either you're sent to the very end of the universe,
or the beginning,
or you're sent to the very beginning. It's never in the middle.
No.
Until more recently. But it's, especially when it comes to Barbara, she absolutely calls out the Doctor on his attitude, especially when they start to figure out who they are, and she remembers who he is, and she's like, no, you know what, I'm absolutely going to lay it into this guy because he's essentially kidnapped us entirely. But I love that. It's absolutely necessary, and I like that it comes from Barbara, because one of the things I've noticed with the previous serials is that she's very much just been the observer. She's not judging out loud until she's actually got everything in her head, and now she gets to this point, and she's like, no, I'm absolutely going to lay into him. And I like that, because it also allows the Doctor to learn as well, because he has just been very abrasive. He does threaten to chuck them out of the TARDIS anyway. But I do really like that, and it helps the Doctor going forward. And this team becomes more like friends. And
yeah, it's almost like
really
a test
like
of
that.
friendship, which is pretty good, honestly. But I do like the fact that it's a character piece rather than it's just some... Well, if they did like another episode like the Daleks where they just whisk away to another planet and same kind of deal happens, at least it's a little bit different, but it's not for me personally. I just find it very dull.
Yeah, I can definitely see why. I mean, like, even me going in, I assumed it was going to be pretty naff, because just on the setup alone and how short it is, which I know from your perspective it could easily be shorter. I mean, there are still some stupid moments, like how they for some reason think that Ian's is the one behind the TARDIS going haywire. I'm like, he's still acting like a moron even when he's got amnesia. How is this guy gonna be a genocidal maniac? Plot twist, it's actually him. It's not, obviously. No, it's not. It's Susan with her scissors that everyone complained about in the 60s. I'm like, oh my god, you wusses. Like, God, that is the bit you're going to complain about. Just like Carol Ann Ford, the actress, holding a pair of scissors, like, oh dear.
Oh, yes, she's the saboteur. Yes.
She's the saboteur. Did we just make a reference to Trapped?
Yes, we did.
Jesus. I wasn't planning on that. Susan, don't say a word. You are the saboteur. You are going to blow up the entity
TARDIS, clearly
and
is
all
in
you
the
have is a
TARDIS.
pair of scissors. Don't let anyone find out. If you don't, I will jettison you immediately.
With that scissors cutting up cables on the TARDIS and that, aye.
Yeah. So it's been even that I like how there's so much animosity between all these characters, because again, they don't know what the hell's going on. But I do really like that. And that being said, though, I mean, there's still some standard stuff, you know. As I say, Barbara's the observer, Ian's the idiot. Susan still screams even when she has no memory. She just remembers how to scream. Very good there. And then, as I say, it's all set on the TARDIS, so you get a proper look at this actual set. And I still really love the set of the First Doctor's TARDIS. I really like it. I mean, even just something that I actually completely forgot about until the 60th anniversary special started, and we see, you know, we'll briefly allude to this before we actually delve into the 60th in a couple of days, actually, as of when we're recording this. On 14's new TARDIS console, there's a coffee machine, because there's a coffee machine on this TARDIS, apparently. That we never see.
I didn't make that connection at first.
Yeah, I still really like it, to be honest. I mean, just as a set design, it's really great, and especially when we spoke about the colorized version of the Daleks, it looks really nice in color. It looks really, really nice. Even something as stupid as like the doors opening on the inside and it's just all like the roundels, and then you suddenly pop out and it's just regular wooden police box doors. Like, there's no reasoning as to why it's changed. It's just, yeah, we'll just keep it like that. No one's gonna notice.
It's like he's really like massive.
And that's absolutely fine with me.
You know what it reminds me of? It's like a vault door of how thick they are.
It's exactly thick, stupid doors and thick, stupid walls.
Like,
that
honestly,
don't always work.
it looks like a bank door. And then when you get outside,
it
it's
looks
just
exactly
a wooden door.
like that. Yeah. As I say, I totally get though why some would consider this one a bit boring, because it is absolutely filler. Because it kind of had to be. It just had to fill in a couple of time slots because they thought there wasn't going to be another story.
Yeah.
So I still actually, I can appreciate the fact that it isn't just going for generic filler, which is something that even the previous story had many episodes in. With this one, they actually take the time to actually go, you know what, let's actually do something with these characters, because if this is going to be the last time we have them, might as well just go all out.
Yeah, might as well
do
the best we can with them.
Yeah, and I know we're very, as I say, as you can tell, we're already very divided on this story anyway. As I said, I do prefer this one of all three of what's known as the beginning, which you can get on like DVD.
I wouldn't even.
And
It would be difficult for me to pick one, in truthfulness, because I all think they're just mediocre. But on saying that, like, you know, the colorized version of the Daleks, I mean, that would probably be the highlights. Really, so I'd probably say the Daleks. But not the original, because, well, let's face it, you know, 7 parts, as mentioned. It's a bit of a chore.
it's a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
And then you get to the Snore of Destruction, which is not as much of a chore, but it's still a little dull.
And as I say, it's like, I can totally see why someone wouldn't like this. It's actually been interesting reading the reviews on Letterboxd for this, because they are quite varied.
They're quite divided.
I mean, even me, myself, I think I've still got this as like a 3 out of 5 for me. Though I might bump that up to a 4 when I rewatch it again, which I have recently again. I might want to watch it again, because I do like really like it. As I say, it could have just been the most generic episode of Doctor Who ever. They could have just half-arsed it, but no, they actually bother to do something a little bit better, and in turn, for me, made one of the most important stories in classic Who.
The only thing that I'd say is probably another positive about it is the fact that it isn't one of those like history lesson episodes.
Yeah, those can be very hit or miss. Even in the modern era, they've occasionally struggled. And you know, we'll definitely get to the mixed ones when it comes to season 1, because there is a few. Yeah, very, very, very soon. But for me, it still works. It still does. But as I say, you know, as I've referenced a couple of times now, I do totally get why you're sort of wincing.
Yeah, it's not the absolute worst thing out of that Hartnell era, but it's definitely up there with being one of the most forgettable.
That's absolutely fair, and this is why we keep it to a mini-sode, because I think we couldn't talk about this for an hour.
No.
It's not possible. It literally runs for just under an hour. Yeah. So there's no way we could do that. Not unless we did it as like a commentary, which, no. I'm not doing commentaries on Classic Who, because we'll be here for hours.
Well, that literally. And like the audio would be of me sleeping, because I'd end up falling asleep.
Oh yeah, just...
Yeah. It's like,
oh. What on earth has happened, Regan? Like, oh no, it's fine. They're just branching a pair of scissors. Oh, okay. Wake me up when a thing happens. Oh no, the credits are running. Oh, excellent. Right, and it's done. But no, that's our thoughts on The Edge of Destruction. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Slightly more rambly, because as I say, we've got very, very differing opinions on this.
Mixed feelings on it.
Mixed feelings, yes. So next time we will be talking about, and I'm going to say it now, before you get in and see it, we're going to be talking about The Snores of Mariners. Because it's rubbish. Spoilers. But yes, we'll be back very soon with The Keys of Marinus. So thank you very much for listening. We'll see you then. And until then, it's goodbye from Dan.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.